Okay, I'd like to call the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners together. It's now 3:38. If you could rise for an invocation, please, and thereafter, Mr. Snyder. Lord, thank you for the summer season here in Muskegon County and help us to enjoy this season safely. Also, as we deliberate today, keep in our minds that the decisions we make on behalf of the citizens are for the benefit of all the citizens of Muskegon County. And as always, protect those who watch over us both here and abroad. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Cross.
Here.
Commissioner Derazinski.
Here.
Commissioner Engel.
Here.
Commissioner Jager.
Here.
Commissioner Longmire.
Present.
Chairman Mahoney.
Here.
Commissioner Plummer.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick. Commissioner Vice Chairman Snyder.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins. Here. 10 present, 1 excused.
Alrighty, we have a quorum. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or changes to that?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Snyder, seconded by Commissioner Engel to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. We have the minutes of July 17th.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Engel, seconded by Commissioner Cross to accept the minutes of July 17th. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. In your communication, just for your benefit, was a resolution from Alger County concerning possible closing of Southview Airport Space in the state of Michigan. With that, we should move on to committee reports. Oh, public comment, pardon me, I didn't jump over that. We have public comment on an agenda item. Anyone wishing to comment on an agenda item? If not, we can move on. Thank you, Commissioner. Community Development and Strategic Planning Committee.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. On July 26th, the Community Development Strategic Planning met as recommended, and I moved CDSP 12/707 through 08.
Moved by Commissioner Cross, seconded by Commissioner Collins to accept the Community Development Strategic Planning Committee's report of July 26th. Any discussion? Not roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Commissioner Derazinski.
Yes.
Commissioner Engel.
Yes.
Commissioner Jager.
Yes.
Commissioner Longmire.
Yes.
Commissioner Plummer.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Chairman Mahoney.
Yes.
10 yes.
The motion carries.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Okay, I will just comment that both of those are events that will be going on at Heritage Landing. One's on the 25th, and August 8th through 11th is the Unity Christian Festival, which is at the end of the Thank you. Public Works.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Public Works met on July 31st, 2012, and I so approved, and I so move to authorize the Drain Commissioner to submit alternate 4 for the wetland project and approve the conservation easement as shown on the attachment.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Engel, seconded by Commissioner Plummer to approve the Public Works report of 8. Any discussion? Other than to reiterate Mr. Engel's statement, this is a long time coming to help not only Black Creek, but downstream and further. Roll call, Madam.
Commissioner Derazinski.
Yes.
Commissioner Engel.
Yes.
Commissioner Jager.
Yes.
Commissioner Longmire.
Yes.
Commissioner Plummer.
Yes.
Commissioner, Vice Chairman Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Chairman Mahoney.
Yes.
10 yes.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Motion did carry. Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Transportation Committee met on July 26, 2012. It was recommended, and I move TR 120733 through TR 120738.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, seconded by Commissioner Longyear to accept the Transportation Committee report. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Engel.
Yes.
Commissioner Jager.
Yes on 33, no on 34, yes on 35, 36, 37, 38.
Yes on 33, no on 34. Yes on 35, 36, 37, and 38. Thank you. Commissioner Longmire.
Yes.
Commissioner Plummer.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Commissioner Derazinski.
Yes.
Chairman Mahoney.
Yes.
10 yes on 33, 9 yes, 1 no on 34, 10 yes on 35, 36, 37, and 38.
Motion carried.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ways and Means Committee.
Mr. Chairman, the Ways and Means Committee met on July 24th, 2012. It was recommended and I move WM 12/103, 104, 105, 106, and 107.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Collins, seconded by Commissioner Plummer to accept the Ways and Means Committee report of July 24th. Any discussion? Mr. Jager.
I'll read what I got, but number 106. For me, policy is changing, like then the local advertising for contracts up to 100,000 or 5% or like that for any local bidder's preference. That would be what I would consider policy. But writing contracts for only one company is bad government. It hurts local bidders, it skews the bid process, and it wastes of taxpayers' money on the name of, well, we've always done it this way. And I just personally feel that we can do better on writing these contracts. We should be giving our locals at least a chance to bid on things. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I believe we all, that the locals should have a chance at bidding on all this stuff. There's no doubt in my mind. Problem is, we used to have a preference on maybe more local, and then we went to the mitten to try to open up to everybody. There's got to be a happy medium, but this was bid legit, and it has to stay there, but you can't change a bid in the middle of the process.
And I can answer to that by saying, even it's not even just the part of the mitten. I understand we have to change that policy. This has got to do with writing a contract for a certain piece of equipment. There's no way they can meet it. Everything was going to be a hair bit bigger or a hair bit smaller, but it made it $2,000 higher. It was wrote for one specific piece of equipment.
I believe the contract or the bid also said for equipment. Other folks had an opportunity to bid equipment that would have been.
You cannot meet their specs without going to a $2,000 higher machine. That to me is saying there is no such thing as an equipment.
Anybody else? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Jager.
Yes on 103, 104, 105, no on 106, and yes on 107.
Thank you. Commissioner Longmire.
Yes, 103.
Commissioner Plummer.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Commissioner Derasinski.
Yes.
Commissioner Engel.
Yes.
Chairman Mahoney.
Yes.
That is 10 yes on 103, 104, 105, 9 yes, 1 no on 106, and 10 yes on 107.
Motion carried.
Close the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. In my report, a couple of things. I'd like to congratulate the Health Department on the good evaluation. We'll hear more about that as the state completes their report, but from my understanding, there were no outstanding issues at all at the Health Department in the survey. In addition, I think I passed out earlier last week, Holton Township's response to moving the box in terms of the felony conviction check. It's after the application is received, the interviews and all of that are taken care of, then they move to the background checks. And that's exactly what we did, and I hope more will join us. I do want to mention in sadness that our sustainability coordinator, Leslie Rose, she has moved us forward in a great many ways, and she will be sorely missed. Beyond that, liaison report.
We just, for the board's information, it's not really a liaison report, but we had to put a third bus on. There was enough people, young folks from the center city that wanted to go to the fair. Put a third bus on, and we'll be evaluating that as we go along. But it appears to have been fairly successful. And there's a bunch of pictures I haven't seen yet.
Also, Mr. Chair, I too went out to the county fair, and it was, the kids were real happy, and I'll pass these letters around, you can look at them if you like. They had a great time. Some had never been there, and they wrote us notes thanking us, and it was no cost to us because the churches provided the food. They had the soft drinks and apple, cookies, and animal crackers and all of that. It was a great day because many of them had not touched an animal. And read the letters and you would certainly enjoy that. And I have another report, Mr. Chair.
Snickering in one thing, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm paying attention.
On yesterday, we attended the meeting for Whimsidick up at the Double J Ranch in Oceana County. And we were advised that the federal transportation bill has been passed. However, we were also advised that come January 1st, 2013, sequestration will go into effect, which means that there will be cuts to all federal programs with the exception of Medicare and Social Security. These cuts could be about 7% for the next 10 years, which will hurt us tremendously through other federal programs such as housing, EPA, economic development, etc. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That's very nice, and I'm sure they all are. Is there any way those can get scanned and maybe put on something? So, I mean, I think maybe the public needs to see what went on. That's really great, and I think it would be something that we can get out to everybody to see what we accomplished. Would be a good thing.
Judy Hill has the copy.
Good idea. Anyone else? None, we can move on. Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, County Board of Commissioners. I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Old business. Do we have any old business?
If I may, excuse me, if I could, Mr. Chair. County last year for Power Tour guaranteed that the contract with Hot Rod Magazine would be taken care of, and I appreciated that, and it was very successful, and everything is This year, the city did that. There is some outstanding pieces to that. There's a $10,000 bill yet to be paid to Hot Rod Magazine. There's over $5,000 in the budget. I'm asking Keith for an update, or excuse me, left in the bank, but there still is going to be some shortfall. I would sure like to ask this board or the administrator that if we could cooperate with the city of Muskegon, who really is on the hook for this, to get this issue taken care of. I'd hate to see Power Tour ever jeopardized. I don't know, and we are beating the bushes and trying to get some more of the promises that we had when we started in, but to let that linger for very much longer could hurt us down the road. My conservative estimate of what that meant to the hotel accommodation tax on the very conservative side would be about $15,000. Personally, I think it's closer to 20 for that one weekend. And of course, the city has some income tax that they would experience, and I've been talking with the city, but I want to push to get this done before something would hurt the possibility of them ever coming back.
I would move that we take care of that statement and that we do everything we can to try to balance the books on that. And if it means that we advance the funds from the accommodations tax base, I would so move if that's the source of funds. And I would like to see us continue the efforts to try to balance the books if it means getting commitments from other people to pick up that balance too.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Snyder, seconded by Commissioner Plummer, to basically try to balance the books and use it as a possible loan or whatever to cover.
Have staff do the research and find the best possible way to do this and then make sure it's handled.
Coordinated with the city.
Well, no, yes.
You don't have it.
Well, the bill to bring it here was $35,000. We had to also establish some hospitality. There was probably the whole cost of this year's. I mean, it exploded beyond our expectations. Last year we had 20,000. This year we had 50,000 people. And if you relate that to maybe $200 a person spent in Muskegon County, do the math. That's typically what is done. Right now, we had a budget. We kind of anticipated revenues. People, will contribute. We'll buy a sponsorship, and those things have been invoiced. And unfortunately, all the bills come in, but all our estimated revenues did not come through. Since that point, I ran this on July the 12th. I know there's been more money put into the foundation account. I've asked Keith to look that up. I don't know if he got a new number. I estimate it would be substantially lower than that, but I don't want this thing to sit outstanding. We do plan an event that is a fundraiser to eradicate that. But it takes time to put those things together. In the meantime, where's our money?
What are we looking at, 5,000?
It's less than 5,000.
The accommodation tax is more.
Oh, yeah, yes. And, but I do think that committee has an obligation to pay that back. We did it the first year, the city, and I think this needs to be coordinated with the city. I just don't like it outstanding. You know, for some reason, they're coming to me, and I'm very friendly, but let's keep it that way. It's huge. This is huge for this city. And county, excuse me.
Any further discussion? Roll call, clerk. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Plummer,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Cross,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarosinski.
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Jager,
Yes.
Commissioner Longmire, Chairman Mahoney,
Yes.
and yes.
Motion carries. We will be looking into that and seeing what we can come up with. Any other old business? New business? Anyone new? We're now at the point of our meeting where we have public comment on a new topic. Persons may address the commission during the time set aside for public comment. All persons must address the commission, state their name for the record, and I don't need your address. And comments, since we have quite a few, if you could kind of limit those to about 2 minutes each, I would appreciate it. So we can begin. It looks like most of them are jail related, so we can move on. Sarah Culver.
As you said, my name is Sarah Culver. I am interested, actually, unfortunately, I have more questions than I have statements. But first of all, I know that the County Road Commission operates on the principle of we get so much money for snow removal every year, and if we don't use it, we lose it. And I'm wondering if the money for this project of expanding the jail actually must be used only for constructing the jail and could not be used on, say, supervised parole or more programs to encourage the prisoners to either change their habits. Why couldn't they be out of jail? Why do they have to be in jail? How many of these people are in there on minor drug offenses or for drunk driving or the other kinds of conditions that often afflict people who are unemployed? I'd say, where is this money going to come from? Are we going to pay more and more to have more people locked up in dreadful conditions? These people, if they are not getting that good medical care, will come back with such diseases as MRSA, hepatitis, very nasty communicable diseases among the population. They will come back with their angers and their frustrations unaddressed, and we will have many more people coming into the hospitals with more gunshot wounds, more domestic abuse cases. Why cannot some of this money go, instead of being locking people up, instead to improving the conditions under which they are locked up and to providing also some alternative forms of action? This is not the forward-looking way of guiding a community into bigger and better jails. I happen to know that the state of Michigan has been offered by some huge corporation, of Corrections Corporation, been offered to, we'll take your state-run jails if you will guarantee us a 90% occupancy rate. If this were a satire, no one would believe it. I know some of the Congress, indeed, think this is a very good idea. But we have been underfunding our public schools and overfunding our prisons all across the country to the point where we are an international joke. And that is all I have to say.
Yay! Mr. Frazier, Toby.
Good afternoon. Most folks here probably know, I don't know if everyone else knows, I'm on the Citizen Review Committee for the jail. If I thought that you all cared a lick for what that thing was going to do or what they had to say or what we had to say on it, I wouldn't be here right now talking, but it certainly seems quite a bit like you set that up to try and shut the rest of us up. So I'm glad that a lot of people came out today to let you know that's not going to happen. I want to say that you all have been cleverly and frequently not so very cleverly sidestepping the real issue that's going on with the jail and the possible solutions to that problem. Right now there's too many people locked up. And building a bigger jail is obviously the stupidest way to not have too many people locked up. Maybe there'd be enough beds for them. Maybe you think it's all about how many people we can get in there and how much money we can make off of them, but it's not going to help the problem. And you're trying to say that you are helping the problem. The community needs programs and support before they get locked up. It makes me almost want to vomit hearing some of you very self-righteously say that we need a bigger jail so we can educate these people. And then laugh during the last jail committee meeting about how many schools have been closed and how maybe we can turn one of those elementary schools into a juvenile detention center. That's disgusting. You disgust me with that. What is wrong with you? This isn't rocket scientists. And I would expect even from you all a little bit better thinking than that. A bigger jail is going to need less diversion programs. Once there's all that pressure to fill up the bigger jail, people aren't going to be diverted out of jail anywhere near as often. A bigger jail right now is just going to mean continuing the racist problem that we have with the current one. African Americans are way more targeted than any other race to get locked up. And building a bigger jail just means making that even worse. And so if you don't want that on your head, if you don't want to be the racist county commission, then I think you should do something about that instead. I also have a slightly different question about the county health plan. I'm just curious if it could do anything about the sheriff's texting addiction. Seems like I've never seen him at a meeting where he's not trying to text on his phone and barely pay attention. So I think if that's not part of the county health plan, maybe you should make it part of it.
We need to deal with the issues, not with individuals, please. You have a comment about individuals. Let's keep some decorum. Number one, if you have issues with individuals, you need to speak to those individuals. This is for general public information. It's a comment to this commission as to what issues you need to deal with, or you think we need to deal with.
We know what needs to be dealt with, and you're not dealing with it.
Again, keep your comments to the issues, please.
Keep your responses to them.
Matt Crehan.
Good afternoon, Matt Crehan. I was involved in defeating the jail millage approximately 12 years ago when it came on. And since then, I don't see this high rise in crime that necessitates 500 beds. Every judge that I've spoken with indicates that regardless of the number of beds you have, he will fill them up. It's 500, 700, 900, whatever it's going to be, they're going to get filled. So it doesn't seem to be reasonable to go ahead and just say, let's build a new jail and increase the size, because there's more things that have to be taken a look at than that. Now, two of the things that have to be taken a look at that I don't see anybody has addressed to this point are, number one, the fact that we're getting a new circuit judge next year with the retirement of Judge Graves. All the judges that I've talked to have indicated that they're proponents of a drug court. Now, a drug court basically means that they're going to spend a lot more time with prisoners that have a drug problem in hopes of curing them of their problems so they don't need to come back to jail, or maybe not even go there to begin with. That hasn't been addressed at all. That alone is going to take care of a substantial number of the jail population. If you don't have them there to begin with, you don't need the beds. Now, there's another thing, too. There's still a lawsuit that's simmering in Lansing. It was filed against three counties in Michigan, Muskegon, Genesee, and Calhoun, regarding the public defender system. Now, I know that since that lawsuit's been filed, the county's taken what I'm going to call baby steps to try to cure the problem. The public defender system in Muskegon County is still not adequate. It doesn't meet constitutional specifications. And once the state goes ahead and rules in favor of the plaintiffs, there's a high probability that either the state's going to be able to, they're going to have to fund it, or they're going to order the counties to fund it. Once those two things alone start to get in balance, where there's less prisoners that we have to worry about in the jail, we're not going to know how many beds we're going to need. And keep in mind that if you're a policeman, your job is to go out there and arrest people. If you know there's a bed available, you're probably going to go ahead and arrest the individual. But if you think, well, wait a minute, the bed might not be available, I'll issue this individual an appearance ticket and come to district court arraignment and take care of the matter. There's a lot more details here that haven't been discussed, and I've read most of the reports and I've followed the issue for the last 10 years. If I thought there had been a need for a jail, myself and my group wouldn't have defeated the millage about 10 to 12 years ago. I still don't see a need for a new jail, and I think that this has to be dealt with a lot more rational than what's being done right now. One of the things that also bothers me immensely is the fact that allegedly there's $8 million sitting in a pot somewhere. Well, if the conditions at the present jail are so deplorable, which I'm told they are, I'm not 100% sure they are, why hasn't some of that money been spent just on that, getting it spruced up, getting it cleaned up, and having it meet DOC specifications? That shouldn't be that hard of a task to do. It's almost like we're looking at this from a point of, well, okay, we're going to build this new jail, and then 20, 30 years from now, is it going to be in the same condition this one is? It's kind of like at the county. I don't know, a lot of you people on the board haven't been here all that as long as the ones that you want from years ago. But you take a look at it, and it's like if you're given a house to take care of, and you don't take care of it, it gets into deplorable condition, and you're asking somebody to go ahead and funds for another one, that doesn't seem to be a good idea. You don't seem to be good stewards of what you have. And I'm not attacking anybody here personally. It's a situation, GM never would have built the Corvair if they knew people died in the wrecks afterwards. But they built it because it was done by a committee, and that's oftentimes what happens with a committee. So there has to be a little cooler heads have to prevail here. And once the drug courts comes up to speed, which should happen about this time next year, we can see the results of it. And that lawsuit's not going to linger on forever. Something's going to have to happen with that. If they order you to go ahead and provide adequate constitutional public defenders, you won't have the situation that happened to Mr. Soanes, where he sat in jail for 8 months when he could have been released after about 8 hours because his public defender was asleep at the switch. That alone is deplorable. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yay. Thank you. Next I have Mr. Dan Mills. It's rolling. It's rolling.
Hi, thanks, John. My name's Dan Mills, and I'd like to take this opportunity to just state my protest against the undemocratic way that this whole thing is being maneuvered. The people have not been asked, consulted, you know, the public, the population has not voiced a demand for a new and bigger and larger jail on some other property. And actually, what I've seen from the few meetings that I've attended here recently and videotaped and recorded and put online is that misinformation is being tailored and then disseminated to the public to misinform, actually. And for instance, this statement that I hear again and again that decisions have not been made. There have been no decisions made yet. But what I see is that the money's already even been divided up. We know who's getting it. You know, the realtor and stuff like that. We're just trying to formalize things. And I'm against all of that. We're very cautious, I understand, in these meetings that I've been at, which are hard to attend because of when they're scheduled and then rescheduled and that sort of thing. But these meetings that I've attended, it seems to me that there's a great concern that the public better get some propaganda, better get something out to the public really quick because they're going to start filling in the blanks for themselves. That isn't hard to do. Anyway, please take a look online and see yourselves and draw your own conclusions like I think most people will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Nye, Roger Nye.
Good afternoon, I'm Roger Nye. I've been watching the Olympics lately. It's always a great source of pride for me to see how our national athletes come home with all sorts of medals, gold, silver, and bronze. This has always been a distinction of the United States. Unfortunately, our country has another distinction. We have one of the world's highest incarceration rates, about half again as much as Russia, for example. This is not a distinction of which we should be proud, and counties across the country, our future is being worked out, including here. I implore you to consider, do we really have to have the world's highest incarceration rate? Is something wrong here? Is something that can be done about this? Aren't there alternatives, electronic tethering, for example, diversion courts, diversion programs? Why do we have to have this distinction? I'd be a lot prouder of our Olympic athletes if I also knew that this other dubious distinction was gradually being done away with. Thank you very much.
Yay. I believe that's the last of the cards I have here. Does anyone else wish to speak? Mr. Riley?
bring my brain with me here. Some of the things I'll say are repetitious, but during the debates that Muskegon Community College put on, Sheriff Rossler, in part of his presentation, publicly said that the jail would likely be built with funds raised from a bond issue rather than a taxpayer voted upon millage, which takes the taxpayer out, but in fact it makes you folks make that decision on your own. And in light of that, it seems to me that you need to address some questions which you may very well have the answers to, but as of yet I've not heard anybody publicly answer these questions, and I think that's part of the problem that a lot of us who are wondering what's going on is that we have these questions, we hear many rumors, we are truly in fact not getting any answers, and I'd like to just run through them. New jail proponents tell us that the jail's overcrowded, but judges tell us no matter how big a jail we build, they will fill it. So that's a conundrum that doesn't seem to have an answer that certainly makes me understand why a new jail will take care of the overcrowding problem. The Build a New Jail advocates tell us that the jail's a physical mess, as has been mentioned earlier. That is, my understanding, it is the sheriff's job to make sure that the jail is handled safely and correctly. And everything that I've heard, and again, in this vacuum of information, is that the jail's problems tend to be the walls and ceilings and carpet are ratty, there are the leaks from plumbing. This all sounds like routine maintenance to me. I have yet to hear or see a contractor's presentation that there's serious structural problems there that preclude the jail from in fact becoming what it ought to be. And if in fact there's $8 million or there are other monies out there that have been diverted, and there are rumors to that effect that monies have been diverted, these are questions that simply you must have the information. It would be nice to see them addressed publicly and answered publicly. Surely repairing a fixable structure would be less expensive than a new jail. The sheriff has admitted publicly in the past that some, maybe many of the jail beds are rented out to other municipalities. That sort of takes away the fact that the jail's full and we have no other options. Let's find out about the municipalities, find out if in fact that's true. I don't know for sure. It sure would be nice to see it addressed, that if every single person who's in the jail is someone who we must have in there by law or constitution. Judges have told me, I have a radio show, on my show a judge very specifically said that we could expand diversion programs and keep people out. We have a very successful sobriety court. That court and other courts, drug courts and others, could be expanded, but there's not the money to do it. I have yet to see reasons presented why these have not been addressed before the need of a $25 to $50 million jail. Reasonable bail for low-risk accused. Again, we hear, well, we're doing everything we can. But again, bring the public in. You're going to be sacking the public with the bill for this. Answer the questions specifically, and take questions and answer the questions from the public, and perhaps at a separate hearing. I've heard from insiders that violators picked up on Thursday or Friday are given harsher treatment so they can fill the jail up on the weekends to make it look like it's full. I don't know if that's true or not, but again, that would be nice to find out if in fact there's any documentation to prove that there is or there isn't. County commissioners, Commissioner Snyder very specifically said, hey, we've had many of these consultant reports, expensive consultant reports that have been paid for by the taxpayers on the jails. They don't appear to be made public to us. It sure would be nice that the public could look at these consultant reports and find out what our tax dollars paid for. And another, I can't tell you if this is true or not, but I have been told that very specifically, at least the recent consultants that we've hired have been specifically told that the option of a private provider for jail services, be a private company building it or even farming out the prisoners, has been very specifically excluded as an option. It seems to me that if in fact there is if that is true, we ought to find out why. If it's not true, it'd be nice to say, no, we've looked at private options and here are the quotes and the prices that we would be paying. These are things I think that are really critically important if you're going to have the community behind you. And I would just say that maybe we do need a jail. Maybe in fact you're going to answer all these questions, and in fact skeptics like myself and and then perhaps even skeptics like people in the audience might say, yes, we do need a jail. Where is the public discussion of how we're going to pay for it? Simply issuing a bunch of bonds without any way to pay for those bonds will require significant cuts in services or significant taxes. And that's all I have. I'm wrapping it up. Thank you very much.
Yay. Your concerns will be addressed in a short period of time. Thank you.
I hope I don't take too much time. I'm kind of nervous, so I apologize for my stammering. I have heard, I'm sorry, Anna Eldon Brady, and I live in the McLaughlin neighborhood. I have heard through folks that I just chat with casually that there was a comment made at a recent meeting pertaining to use of an elementary school as a jail facility. Given the conversations, the very derogatory conversations that were brought up on MLive and multiple other newspaper articles pertaining to the closure of those schools in the Heights and in some of Muskegon Public that indicated that all of us who live in those neighborhoods are criminals and would be better to be locked up anyway because our children aren't worth educating. That comment struck me to the core, because I don't think that, in hearing that, members of that group necessarily considered what it sounded like to someone who's heard those comments over and over again. Your kids aren't worth it because of where you live. You're too poor, you're not worth it. Your skin's the wrong color, you're not worth it. To then have, after also seeing an MLive article, they should just sell the school for $1, about McLaughlin, to the county to use it as a new jail. Seeing these things repeated, and then hearing it said in an official capacity, even if it was just a side comment, very much says to me, again, reinforcing that you're not worth it. And I don't think that anyone here meant that, but please consider what that looks like from the outside. Someone who does live in that and who has been hearing these things over and over and over again about my community, when you do say that. And I'm not saying that it isn't necessarily something that should be explored, because we do have tons of vacant buildings. And I understand that exploring vacant buildings is important. No matter what your position is on this, we need to get them into reduce. But please consider very much so what that looks like to someone who has heard so many hurtful things about the people in my community. Thank you.
Thank you. One other help.
Tommy Watson.
Thank you.
I've been kind of sitting back hearing all this. I'm a former jailer. I worked in the jail. I've been in corrections and social work for about 25 years. My brother's a jailer here. It's points on both sides, but realistically, you know, it's almost like a stew. We're throwing a whole bunch of ideas into the pot without actually really dissecting each one of them individually. And it's propaganda on both sides. That's how politics go.
If you would address.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's how politics go. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm kind of appalled on not the issue of building a jail. I'm kind of appalled on how someone can tell me as a black male what I need. You know, the crime, I don't live in Muskegon Heights, but I was born and raised, but you can tell me what Muskegon Heights needs. I'm kind of appalled on that. And then you saying and ask the community. No one has never asked any of us black. I'm a leader. No one has never asked me. But you're trying to tell me what I need. I don't understand this. I really don't. I really don't. And I'm kind of sick of it to where throwing up is beyond the point. We may need a new jail. We may not. That's the issue that's what we elect our politicians for. What? We elect our politicians for that. And what I'm just saying is, I think everybody needs to sit down, take a step back, evaluate the whole picture, and see what can be used and what not can be used. Because what's going to happen 10 years from now, like everything else, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, it was a report in the Sunday's paper about the state was reviewing how Muskegon's lack of ability to develop things. So what we're going to end up happening is stagnation. And I'm kind of fed up with that. hear that, and they end up not doing anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, I'm Shanta Davy, and as you can see, it's a lot of people have issues to talk about. And, many people took off work to come here. And the thing is, underlying the jail situation and many situations in county boards and city boards across the nation is people are coming to them now. And I know that you've been used to sitting to an empty room most of the time. People are waking up on the left and the right, and they want their government to be responsive to them. And we really do. We're here, we're not getting paid for it, we're taking off work for it. We're here because we have concerns and we want to make a better Muskegon County. And we don't think the steps you're taking are very looking for a bright future for Muskegon County. So, I agree that the prison, the jail population needs to live in a safe, healthy environment. Yes, we need to address that. If we had $8 million somewhere, which was told in M-Live we do, then that should have been being addressed all along. Or if it came in recently, then we use that money first. But, the thing is that the underlying thing that really gets me is all the dampening of democracy, that you're following the example of our national politicians, which is crap. That is not working for America. And I hope that Muskegon does not go down that road. I hope that we can really see a brighter future and not make some of these really awful decisions. We don't need more beds. We need to get the family court, the drug court. We need to get people who don't need to be in there. I have a feeling we've been putting more people in there just to support this question. So these underlying things too, like like the emergency manager law. Now that fight in Lansing has already been fought. And they're putting it through the Supreme Courts and wasting money and wasting time. And that's all to dampen democracy. It's all to dampen the will of the people. 200 and some thousand signatures as opposed to one letter that the font size was wrong. It's already been a court case that says when it's the will of the people wins, not the font size or not a technicality. So all these little things, I think Muskegon County has to be more responsive to the people. You have to be more transparent. You have to bring the public in on it. Making bonds instead of a millage so that you can get around the vote of the people. We feel strongly about this issue, and it's going to only grow. So I implore you to become visionaries of a bright future for Muskegon County and not this dire future that we're headed down. With this and with the Sappy property possibly not cleaning up and going into industrial, we're not headed down the right path. There's a much brighter path for us. And I hope we can all work together with you, and I hope you're willing to change, because change is coming. The right and the left are coming together. The Tea Party and the Occupy are coming together. So,
yay.
You got your work out for you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Alicia Rodriguez. 9-2 below. The only thing I have to say about all of this is that I believe that the people that are in the jail cell that really didn't do anything wrong and that are spending too much time in it need to be released. And I think that the children need to have more learning and more education. Because, I already graduated last year, but I'm just saying for the young ones that we have, they need more education. And the jail just needs to have the people that didn't do so much wrong go, and the ones that did stay in. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you.
I think the money should be going for schools, better everything. The money, too much money is going to, the county jail. That's why I believe that schools need more at the jail. The roads are too corroded, too many potholes, people getting in accidents. The money should be going into the roads as well.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just wanted to, Nell Schaefer, I wanted to provide the commissioners with some of the reasons, actually a lot of the reasons that people are opposing this plan. If you don't mind passing those around, that'd be great. Thank you. And yeah, just to say that I think there's a lot of passion around this issue, and I think that unfortunately this room and the process surrounding this jail has been pretty isolated and pretty insulated. And so I think that a lot of the opinions expressed here that people have are opinions that people are talking about on our streets and in our neighborhoods and our communities. And it's a lot by people who have experienced dehumanization in the jail and family members of people who have experienced that. And there's so many different stories that I feel like unfortunately have not penetrated the ears of people in this room. And so I think that's important to start listening to some of that. Really important. People have experienced all sorts of horrible treatment within the jail, and I think unless something is done to actually address that treatment, it doesn't matter what sort of new facility or changing facility we have, because if it's the same sort of mentality that we have about treating inmates in terrible ways, that's not going to change either. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
What was your name?
Nell Schaefer.
What is it?
Nell Schaefer.
Do you have anyone else? Thank you for your comments. Stay tuned. Meetings are posted on the website, front page. You can't miss them. Also, I would suggest to you that beginning August 28th, there is what is referred to as a charrette, which will allow you and other citizens to comment on any plan that exists. There are no plans. No decisions have been made. We have a long process. I realize it's frustrating because we do not have answers yet. We have a consultant that's looking at things. We don't have specific answers to your questions because they don't exist. And I realize that's frustrating. It's frustrating for us as well. We will, in fact, like I said, keep on your calendar. There will be almost a whole week. Some of those sessions will be during the day, some of them will be during the night, so you will have an opportunity to join us. Thank you. Now, we need a motion to go into closed session.
For the purpose of litigation.
For the purpose of litigation. Okay, it was moved by Commissioner Plummer, seconded by Commissioner Engel. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Plummer.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice Chairman Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Commissioner
And another
Dearson.
point.
Yes.
Commissioner
Missed
Engel.
it. Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs. Commissioner Longmire.
Yes.
Chairman